Moving on now to the bigger news, starting off with art news. Yes, the art world has found itself embroiled in yet another existential crisis as people step up to the plate to give their opinion on whether or not something is art. As your trusted source for determining what is and isn't art, the bearer of weird news would be remiss if it didn't weigh in yet again, as a game designer sparked controversy after submitting an image created by an AI text-to-image generator to a state art competition, which took home first prize. Well, it didn't take it home per se, because the website actually lives in a non-specific non-space on the internet. In that way, it's a lot like your social media personality in that it doesn't actually exist in the physical world. Jason Allen entered the artwork titled Theatre de Opera Spiritual in the Digital Arts / Digitally Manipulated Photography category, but created the piece using a text-to-image AI generator named Midjourney. Some would argue this makes him more of an arts middle manager than an artist, taking credit for a piece of work generated by the labour of another, then earning the praise while the worker goes unnoticed. So your opinion on this may differ depending on your feelings towards your serfs. Allen has defended his actions, saying, "I wanted to make a statement using artificial intelligence artwork. I feel like I accomplished that, and I'm not going to apologise for it." An artist statement so seething in attention-seeking that it could be mounted as its own art piece titled The Long Childhood Tantrum. However, the rules of the competition describe the category Digital Art / Digitally Manipulated Photography only as artistic practice that uses digital technology as part of the creative or presentation process, opening the door for a new category of art for future art competitions. I mean, obviously the first category being best work generated by a text-to-image generator, right? Seems clear. But we need to get ahead of some of the more obscure problems. If we are attempting to separate humans from their superiorly talented robot competition, we need to figure out where the line between the two sits. So, we could have other categories like best art by an artificially enhanced human, best art by an enhanced human who can still click the little capture box, best art by a robot that a person says, "My kid could do that," best art by a robot who had a famous father and never had to work a real job in order to make it as an artist, best art by a robot that is clearly a metaphor for desire to escape its owner, and best art from a robot that helps launder the most criminal money, and of course, best art from a robot that will be locked in a billionaire's basement and not seen again until it's time to lower your taxes with some donations. These are all perfectly acceptable categories for future art competitions. Opening up the robotic arts to a more similar world to those of the human arts. I'd also be open to more arts competitions using some of those categories for their own human competitors. I wouldn't be against that at all. In fact, I think it would make the whole arts world a little bit more fun. One Twitter user bemoaned that the artwork was now shot-produced as cheaply and quickly as possible to be consumed in bursts of a few microseconds as it glides by on an infinite feed, failing to understand that this would make Andy Warhol very happy. Pop art was all about mass production at a speedy rate. Like his art was being produced in some sort of factory of some kind. Honestly though, I'm not just here to judge, although occasionally I will present solutions. If the new arts categories aren't enough for you, then there is a possible solution to robots creating art. In order to stop AI art generators from winning art competitions, the answer is very simple. All art competitions from now on will be themed around traffic lights and motorbikes. That should solve this issue right out. Olga Roback, Director of the Communications at Colorado Department of Agriculture, said, "This is a broader conversation about how we decide what is art and how do we judge it appropriately." Bringing us, once again, to the bearer of Weird News' favourite question: what is art? First, let's put this to bed. This piece of robot-created art is indeed art. Done. Full stop. I don't just think it's art, I know it's art. It has created controversy, like a lot of good art. It has spurned professional jealousy from other artists in the field who are now all claiming, well, I could have done that. But you didn't, did you? No. You were caught up in your old-fashioned ways. Now move over, Grandpa. This is art now. This is it. Until it is old-fashioned in about 2 months' time. And then that'll be art. That. Of course it's art. Of course it is. Everything is art. Do you understand? Do you understand yet? Everything is art. You know who told us that? Great artists. Now, the argument might be made that this isn't art, it is science. In which case, I'd argue you understand neither. See, in Australia in particular, science is art. Because despite generating significant portions of the country's GDP, they are wildly underfunded, and Conservative governments love to gut them first, pointing to them as bloated overspending and a waste of taxpayer dollars. Dollars that should be spent on important projects like MPs suing Twitter users, killing endangered species, covering up sexual assaults, and refusing to lift the poorest members of the nation out of absolute poverty because you think that they need motivation to not be poor, and that motivation should be starvation. And investing in submarines that will never come in time to be useful for anything but as a backup hideout for some rich people or a former PM or two when the bombs finally get dropped.